What's up? There's a little different intro for tonight. Still love the music. Got that Latino heat flavor. I love it. As y'all can see, I'm rocking a new name tonight in support of a certain gentleman who stole the show this past Saturday night at Backlash. And I'm talking about Bad Bunny. And we're going to talk about Bad Bunny. As you can see, Clutch even says Bad Bunny is favorite than your favorite. 100% true. So, but, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the number one wrestling podcast in the world, right here on the FinTalk Sports Network. Do not forget to subscribe to FinTalk Sports Network to see us every week talk about wrestling, talk about the best of WWE, and have guests like our good friend Mr. Clutch, who's a huge wrestling fan, always brings a great insight to us. So, Alfred, Clutch, how we doing, guys?
Oh yeah, I'm doing good. I am doing good.
Mr. Clutch?
Doing great, man. I'm here, but in spirit, I'm with the Heat right now. Even though
I got you. I know you're Heat on TV right now, and I'm gonna say this for you and the producer Alex: go Heat, baby! I hope you guys win tonight. I hope the Heat win.
Bad right now, but I still have hope.
So, Heat Nation up, baby. I don't know about Fins up, but Heat Nation, yes. Fins up, I can't say it. I can't say Fins up. I'm sorry. Anyway, so when it comes to Backlash, I want to know y'all's overall opinion on the whole pay-per-view as a whole. So I guess give it your grade rating and then give it your high point and your low point. Alfred, what do you think?
Okay. It's funny because last week on the show we actually we were both not a fan of the card and everything.
Yep.
And I think Saturday was one of those instances where the pay-per-view was actually outweighed and was better than how the card was on paper. Yeah. So like I said, if whoever didn't listen last week, I had rated the show like a 7, like a 7 at best. I actually thought the show was at least an 8.5. So it was better this past Saturday. By far one of the best backlashes I've seen. And even the numbers have shown that. But definitely a very, very good pay-per-view. I thought it was better than I anticipated it being. High points, obviously. Bad Bunny's performance, as usual. He had put on another great match. Bad Bunny definitely can go in the ring. No questions about it. Another high point was probably the return, Savio Vega and Carlito.
When
that was actually pretty good. We're probably gonna discuss that in a few moments. That one was actually pretty good. And then another one, if I had to name another one, Cody beating Brock. Okay. And we'll discuss that a little bit later. So those are like my high points of the.
All right. All right. So you got your high points. What was it, Clutch? What is your overall rating of the pay-per-view? And then you can talk about your high points and low points.
I mean, I'll be a little more generous to the pay-per-view because let me start with, I don't think there was really a real low point, quote unquote.
Okay.
Because start to finish, it was really, really good. I mean, the match placement could have been a little better with Bad Bunny main eventing instead of Brock and Cody. Yes. But I'm not gonna punish it too much. I'm still giving it a 9 out of 10. If Bad Bunny would have main evented and ended the way that match did, probably would have gotten 9.5, close to a damn near 10.
Yeah,
because it was really, really, really good.
No, I agree. I mean, as I was watching with one of my good buddies, Ryan, who used to be on our show. And we both said the Bad Bunny match should have been the main event, the way it ended and everything. And if you look at, how the Brock and Cody match ended, as soon as Brock got busted open, they basically almost finished the match right there. Because, so we're going to talk right now about Brock and Cody, is that match. I called Brock winning, Alfred, you called Cody winning. And I don't know the direction of where they wanted to go, but I think Brock was supposed to win that night if he hadn't have gotten busted open. Am I wrong?
Interesting. I think it really didn't make a difference in my opinion. You can make that claim now because obviously they're going to fight each other at Night of Champions. So if Brock would have won the first match of the feud and it carries on the Night of Champions, then Cody, both of that ended the feud. But my personal opinion, like I said last week, I didn't see a reason for Brock to even win that match. It does nothing for him. So that's why I feel like Cody would have won regardless of if Brock would have bled. So I'm interested to see what Clutch had to say because he wasn't on the show last week. So
yeah, Clutch, what do you think?
I think it actually went according to plan as it was supposed to, because you kind of had, because you don't expose the turnbuckle on purpose, because it was on purpose if you're not gonna do a busted open spot.
Correct.
And shout out to Brock, because that was not, I don't know if you guys saw the slow motion and all that. That was not a blade job. He didn't blade himself.
No, he hit it. Yeah.
He got busted open the hard way.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, when we were watching it and we saw his head fly in, I mean, it was instant blood coming out. Yeah. I mean, just all over him.
I did watch. I even watched a slow motion replay just to make sure, but yeah, that there was no time for him to get his hand over his forehead. So
yeah,
it was as legit as it came. I think it was supposed to happen that way, where Cody just barely survives.
Okay.
Basically, just getting the pinfall and then basically hightailing out of there, because there was always going to be a match at Night of Champions. Because I mean, it's Saudi Arabia. WWE always puts their special attractions, their part-time performers. They usually always work that event. So Brock was going to be there anyways. So yeah, that's supposed to happen that way. If obviously that it probably would have been better received as an ending if it wasn't the main event.
Yes.
But yeah,
because I watched a lot of different podcasts and they all were saying, they're all talking about the ending. This is why I'm bringing it up. Is they're talking about how they're like, wait, did they really just end the match this way with, Lesnar trying to put the arm, the coquina clutch or whatever on him, and then Cody pinning him by turning him over, and a lot of different podcasts were like, WWE creative should have gone a completely different way, and I'm actually now thinking about it, is that's a perfect way to look. Violet says last man standing match or submission match. I bet I can't say submission match, but last man standing, yes.
Yeah.
They really put emphasis on the word fight when Brock challenged Cody, so I think it's going to be maybe no holds barred, something like that.
How awesome would that be if it was a no holds barred match and it's named after our show?
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome, and we can copyright it.
Exactly. We can say, hey, WWE, that's the name of our podcast. You can't use it without a little paycheck.
Going forward, you cannot use no holds barred anymore, WWE.
But no, overall, the match between Cody and Brock, I mean, it was spectacular. Like Cody right off the bat, coming after him and not even waiting for that bell to ring and just going straight into a fight mode. It was kind of set up perfectly for that. And I give that match probably about a 7.58. I'm agreeing with the Clutch, and I think they should have put that card. The Bad Bunny, and they should have flip flopped. Because I don't think they expected that big of a pop from the Bad Bunny match.
Oh no.
So I mean, Clutch, what are your overall thoughts on the Lesnar Rhodes match?
I think it did what it was supposed to do. I think this was just something to set up something else down the road. I like the Brock and Cody story. To me, some people might disagree with me, but it has been done perfectly. I mean, Cody barely survives Brock. He made him bleed. Brock got mad. He takes Cody out of the world title tournament.
Right.
So now that belongs to Seth, and he can get his moment at Night of Champions. And Cody still can find a way, whether it's Money in the Bank, whether it's something else, to go after Roman and finish, quote unquote, what he says, finish the story. Right. So I think the story's been done to perfection. One thing I do for it to end perfectly in Night of Champions, I really need them to have a decisive winner. Like no roll ups, a real decisive winner.
A finishing move and then a 1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
Okay. Alfred, what do you think? What are your thoughts on Lesnar Rhodes?
Hopefully, like I said, I'm with Clutch as well. Hopefully, like I said, they have a clear winner. Initially, like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of the feud when it first, because I'm still under the notion that Cody should have won at WrestleMania. I'm still standing by that claim. So hopefully at Night of Champions, like I said, we have a decisive winner with them too. I'm glad that Cody lost in the tournament, because I've said that the belt doesn't, the new world heavyweight belt would be like
needs
kind
to
of a
go on
slap in
Seth.
the face if Cody were to win in the tournament and things like that. So I'm glad he got eliminated early and Lesnar screwed him. I like that, whoever came up with that idea to face each other. But hopefully the Night of Champions is the last match of this feud.
Yeah. So we're talking about the World Heavyweight title bout, and I didn't put this on the script. I mean, I talked about Seth Rollins a little bit, but it brings up a interesting scenario in the fact, Clutch, I'm going to start with you. And you were saying, Cody going after Roman. And so they were saying that the World Heavyweight title is exclusively to Raw. If Cody is a Raw superstar, if Cody were to go after Roman and win, does this mean that they could be a possible Night of Champions where whoever Seth Rollins faces ends up winning the title and then they make Cody win and all that? It puts some interesting scenario. Are they going to have Cody do both shows? What do you think?
I think as far as the world title goes, like you said, it's exclusive to Raw.
Yeah.
Which you assume if a SmackDown superstar wins it, they will go over to Raw for as long as they're champion.
Right.
I think the same thing could apply to Cody. I think he needs an excuse to be able to challenge for Roman's title, though. That's why I mentioned Money in the Bank.
Okay.
Because if you have Money in the Bank, then you should be allowed to cross over and challenge whichever champion of your choosing, which is
Correct.
the basis for it. And if you win the world title, the same thing. I think he goes over to SmackDown for as long as he's champion.
Okay. Alfred, what are your thoughts? So, who do you think is actually going to be the one to face Seth Rollins at Night of Champions?
That is a good question. When I saw the bracket earlier this morning on SmackDown, for the SmackDown, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
First immediate thought was going to be Edge.
Yeah, that's who I thought. Yeah.
All the names going to kind of make sense from that perspective, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a hell of a match between Rollins and Edge. I will love to see that one. That's like my prediction on the SmackDown side. So we'll see who wins that. If not Edge, then I would like to see Bobby Lashley on, because it's going to be, because the triple threat is AJ Styles, Edge, and Mysterio,
right? And
then the other triple threat match is Theory, Lashley, and Sheamus. So I don't think Theory is going to win or go is going to go on and win because he's the U.S. champion. But Lashley would be like the second alternative if it's not Edge, if I had to choose.
See, I think it's going to be Sheamus. I think it's going to be Sheamus because, and y'all can tell me if I criticize me on this, but I think they're trying to build up the Theory Lashley rivalry, and they're going to do it on SmackDown. So I think what could happen is, let's say Lashley could be about to pin Austin Theory, and then Sheamus comes in, throws him off, and pins him. And then, so I think Sheamus could actually get a big push and fight in Night of Champions, and then obviously lose to Seth. But I'm picking Sheamus. If it wasn't going to be Edge, Sheamus was my second pick. Clutch, who's your pick for the SmackDown side?
I agree with Alf when he said Edge.
Yeah.
Because back to my point about Brock, it made sense because WWE sends part-timers and special attractions to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Edge is that. And that crowd will want to see Edge challenge for the world championship again. Remember, the World Heavyweight Championship is the last title he held.
Correct.
Before he had to retire. So in a story sense, it makes sense for him to challenge.
He technically never lost it.
He technically never lost it, but ultimately, I still obviously give it to Seth because obviously Triple H said that title isn't for part timers. Some will defend it all the time.
Right.
So it would look kind of weird if Edge wins it. But I think he could be in the finals.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think Seth Rollins, Edge, Night of Champions, because Seth Rollins and Edge have had a rivalry before.
A really good rivalry.
A really good rivalry, yeah. So, I mean, we'll see and all that, but let's see. What are y'all's thoughts on – I'm echoing. Okay, cool. On Bianca Belair and Alfred, I'm going to start with you because Bianca Belair –
I think I know where you're going.
The fact that the crowd was booing her against Io Sky. I mean, the crowd in Puerto Rico was 100% Team Io all the way.
Oh yeah, for damn sure. Yeah, I thought you was gonna mention the other point I was gonna bring up, but I kind of called that. I think when I made the prediction last week that the crowd is starting to turn on Bianca Belair, which I kind of expected that was going to happen. And Ryan kind of was going to make my next point because I kind of discussed it earlier. It was kind of a botch at the end of the match with Bianca and Io Sky and everything. So I wasn't a huge fan of the match because I hate when botches happen in matches. But as to go back to my point, I think I kind of expected the crowd to turn on Bianca Belair. And I said last week it's kind of time for like a new character change for her per se, because it's like so much you can do being with your gimmick, the EST gimmick, and after a while it's basically like any gimmick. Like we love it for a short period of time, and then it starts to get a little bit tiring.
Do you think they could turn her heel or no?
In this junction, I think they could. In this junction, yeah, they just have to have like a good, a very very good challenger for that to happen.
Right.
Not taking anything for Io Sky, but because she's good as well. But like, a heel turn in the future, I wouldn't be opposed to.
Right.
With Bianca, like I said, like it's so much we can do with a character. We'll love a person's character, and then like it starts to get stale after a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And I think it's starting to happen that way with Bianca Belair. So give it like a few months or so, and like I said, we really can see the change in reaction with her. Like we're starting to see it now, but we'll definitely see it later on down the line for sure.
And Clutch, just wondering, so Alfred and I talked about our reactions to the draft and where superstars went last week. What are your thoughts on the draft results, real quick, before I ask you about Io Sky?
I think it was all right. I mean, you didn't really expect much other than a change where new matchups and rivalries can be created.
Yeah.
And it kind of did that. I mean, there's some names that switched over that do change stuff, like Bianca to SmackDown, Edge to SmackDown. That opens up possibilities. AJ Styles coming back, obviously.
Right.
And the OC, because I think a small little rant on the OC. I think the OC are, as an individual tag team, Luke Gallows and Anderson, they're whatever. I guess they're kind of. Right. But I think they're excellent compliments to AJ.
Yeah.
And when they're together, it's really good. When they're separate, it's like whatever. But yeah, I like what the draft did, especially with I want to see how the NXT talent is being used.
Exactly.
Indy going to Raw. It looks like they're teasing Ciampa coming back.
Okay.
I'm really excited to see, especially the NXT guys. Cameron Grimes, we haven't seen him in a really long time.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's gonna have a match on SmackDown.
Yeah, I was telling a buddy of mine that my favorite pick for the draft was Grayson Waller to SmackDown, because I think Grayson Waller is going to be that perfect bad guy that everyone hates, but you still love him. He has kind of almost like a Seth Rollins persona, but Australian. And I think Grayson Waller can do amazing things. And so going back to Io Sky, by far, Io is a hell of a wrestler, outstanding one-on-one competitor. And they kind of tease that there could be a possible breakup in the match of Bayley, screwing up, messing with Io. So two things. Number one, your thoughts on Io Sky as a wrestler, and then number two is if they do split up Damage Control, how would she fare as a singles competitor?
And you're saying she as in
you
Io Sky?
Clutch. Yeah, you Clutch first, and then Alfred.
I think they had a plan for that Io and Bianca match, and they kind of got executed perfectly. They wanted to make Io look like she can handle herself on her own, right. And she did more than anybody could have expected, especially, and it really helped that the crowd was really behind her, basically 100%. I think they did really well telling that story. They did really well with Bayley coming out. I don't know if you guys caught Dakota was trying to tell her to stay back.
Yeah.
And it kind of like showed that there was miscommunication among Damage Control, and then Io gave her a little look at the end, and it's setting up nicely for Io to have a singles run, and
right.
she was fantastic. She was one of the best champions when she was in NXT by herself. So if she can do that on SmackDown, I'm really looking forward to that.
Because I said last week, give me Io versus Asuka all day. I mean, get ready for the fourth quarter. I know Clutch, you're probably on the edge of your seat right now with that Miami Heat game. So, Alfred, what are your thoughts on Io Sky?
Oh yeah, like I said earlier, when I mentioned the Bianca Belair thing, nothing to take away from Io Sky. I really think she's a very good talent. I want to see a singles run from her because she, like I said, she has the ability. When I was watching her in NXT and everything, I was very impressed by her and everything. I knew a little bit of her before she even came to WWE and NXT when she was with Mexico and things like that. So based on the stuff I've read from her, reading up on her and everything, it's like she definitely has the potential to be a player in the WWE for a singles run and something like that. And the match with her and Bianca at Backlash wasn't that bad, but like I said, I hate when botches happen. So and it was, like I said, it wasn't her fault or anything like that. But I think it's showing her the potential that she actually can hang.
Yeah.
With the top person in WWE.
I think they're gonna put the belt on Io one day. I think she gets the belt.
That's exactly what I'm about to say next and everything. She certainly has the potential, and like I said, she's still young, so she definitely has the potential to have like a women's title run in the future. Most definitely on that one.
Oh yeah. The Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega match. First off, to Zelina, the outfit, fantastic. Whoever decided on that outfit was outstanding. The match overall wasn't that bad, especially when she brings out the chancla and throws it at Rhea. I mean, that was funny as hell. And the crowd was 100% behind Zelina, obviously her hometown. She's a native Puerto Rican, and her family was there and everything. But Zelina can fight. Zelina was pretty good and put up a pretty well thought out match. Clutch, what was your overall opinion on the Rhea Zelina fight?
I mean, the match was okay. Like you said, it was okay. It was good, but does it really matter? It was more about the moment.
Yeah,
and
they cheered her like she was Becky Lynch in her prime,
right?
And I think even though people say, "Oh, it went 7 minutes," it wasn't. She deserves better, whatever, But those 7 minutes were really good.
It only went 7 minutes.
Yeah, it went 7 minutes.
I didn't even notice because I was so engaged that it felt like it was longer.
Yeah, and it's not like it went 7 minutes and she got squashed. She actually got some moves in. She got to do some really cool stuff. So I don't have a problem with the match. I think the match was good, and the moment was even better.
Yeah. No. Alfred, what are your thoughts?
I'm kind of with Clutch on that one. Just like with Damian Priest, I think this is probably was her quote unquote WrestleMania moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's probably like I said, this is we didn't expect her to beat Rhea in the match, but we expected her to have like a to make it seem what's the best way to say it? To make it seem like she could possibly
that she had
beat
the
Rhea,
chance,
that
she
had the chance because it's in her hometown and everything. And then same thing with Damian Priest. We didn't expect Bad Bunny to lose, like to have the crowd sent home be mad at Bad Bunny lost. So obviously we expected Bad Bunny to win. But with Zelina Vega, she put on for the match for what it was. She actually put on a hell of a show. And it's like a real top moment for her. And like I said, she got a standing O after the match, clearly.
Yeah.
That's in the hometown. But overall, I thought the match was pretty okay match. Given it was going against Rhea Ripley right now, who's on fire at the moment.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree. All right, let's talk about the Bad Bunny Damian Priest match. I know there's a lot of chatter, but his Bad Bunny's entrance, I'm pretty sure I've watched his entrance a good 100 times now. I mean, I downloaded the music as soon as the pay-per-view ended, and when I looked it up, his song that he came out to had almost 5 million downloads after the pay-per-view was done. Now, that brought out I think WWE, like this match, 100%, we've already said it, should have been the main event of the night. 100%.
I thought for sure it would be.
But Bad Bunny, I mean, at the beginning, it kind of looked a little like whatever. But then afterwards, Bad Bunny knows how to wrestle. I don't know who trains him and everything, but he knows how to fight. So, Alfred, I'll start with you. What was your overall opinion on the Bad Bunny Damian Priest match? And then we're going to talk about surprises too.
I enjoyed it. First off, I enjoyed the returns.
Carlito, Vega,
yeah, Carlito, and then seeing those pops when they came out and everything. I enjoyed that during the match. It had that, like I said, they had to have some some special things during this match. That's why I was hoping it was the main event, because it would have been even more lit and everything. Seeing the main event, seeing those returns during the main event and everything. So I knew interference was going to happen during the match because it was a street fight. So obviously anything goes. And I said it from the get-go, Bad Bunny can really go in the ring. We saw it when he ironically teamed up with Damian Priest and they went against Miz and Morrison.
Yeah.
During that match, and he showed he can go. That was like I said, the first time we saw him. And then also he had a showing in one of the Royal Rumbles. I think it was the 2022 one, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Had one of the showings. So he definitely can go, and it add on to the fact that it was in his hometown and everything, give him another motivation to go. And the match went 25 minutes long, which is pretty damn long.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be. But he definitely put on a show. Damian Priest put on the show as well, because he's from Puerto Rico as well. And obviously he plays the heel, and it was kind of his quote unquote, like Zelina Vega, his WrestleMania moment.
Right.
That's why I personally feel like they should have been the main event. He should have deserved, given it both of them is from Puerto Rico, to have that as the last match. Right. But a hell of a match between those two gentlemen.
I'm just very happy that they didn't call it WrestleMania Backlash. It was just Backlash.
Yeah. I think 100%. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, but I think this card didn't really call for it to be a WrestleMania Backlash, if that makes sense, because some of these matches weren't like at WrestleMania.
Correct.
And everything. So I'm kind of glad they didn't call it WrestleMania Backlash, because it would have been like, okay, why is it WrestleMania Backlash if most of these matches didn't happen at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
So,
Clutch, what are your thoughts?
I'll go back to what you said about starting with the entrance. I think, really honestly, and I'm not even kidding, I've had like about a week to think about it. It's probably a top entrance in wrestling history.
Yes.
Just because of it was nothing special, no special things or
right.
clothes or something, but just the crowd involvement. And the way he came out, you would have thought like I think when Josh sees this, he's gonna get mad at me, but it's better than the crowd sings Judas. It was
wow. Okay.
It was insane the way they just got behind Bad Bunny. You knew they were gonna get behind Bad Bunny because of where they are.
Right.
But just it was loud. It rivaled Sami Zayn in Montreal.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really good. And Puerto Rico was the top crowd all time as well. So overall, just by that, the match was an A plus. But then you add all the other stuff. Bunny, he's able to do stuff like that. Like he pulled out a Michinoku driver out of nowhere. Yeah. He lifted Damian Priest like he was a feather, and stuff like that is really awesome. He's a multi-million-dollar artist, one of the best artists and most popular in the world, and he's taking a table spot from Damian Priest,
which was outstanding. When that happened, I was like, holy shit, did he actually just agree to go through a table from that high up?
Yeah,
I was like, what did he have to sign?
He doesn't need to be doing that. He doesn't need it. That shows you how much he loves wrestling. And it was awesome. Then you have the overbooked quote unquote stuff, which is awesome. And I say overbooked in the best ways, because Carlito came out and it was you could have sworn by the sound of the crowd you thought Kenny Omega was walking through the WWE door.
Exactly. Yep.
Because it was that loud for Carlito. And
who, by the way, is absolutely jacked and should come back to wrestling.
Yes. I saw him tweet after it, and he said his booking prices went up for the independent shows, and that was hilarious because he looked like $1 million.
I think there's gonna be something where Dominic could say, "Hey, Carlito, you cost me something," and it's so funny. The amount of hatred for Dominic now is just unbelievable. But Vega coming out to the match, Bad Bunny being able to do the Falcon's Arrow to do his finishing move. I mean, just outstanding. I was literally on the edge of my seat the entire time, especially when he went through that table. I was like, holy shit. Did he actually just do that? And I was like, oh shit, they just killed Bad Bunny. He's dead. He's 100% dead. And props to Damian Priest for keeping him, putting on a performance like that with him and all that. So, do y'all see Bad Bunny fighting again? Because I do.
Oh yeah. I think I read somewhere that they're he's going to be doing something coming up with WWE.
Okay.
So I read somewhere.
I think WWE wants him at SummerSlam.
Okay, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
But Clutch, who could you see him fighting at SummerSlam?
At this point, it doesn't matter. Just I have fun every time.
Anyone?
Just put him up against anybody. I don't know. You could even put him up against two outsiders. Put him up against Logan Paul, and I think they'll tear the house down.
Oh yeah. By the way, I think the rumor, I've read so many reports. I think the rumor of Cena versus Logan Paul at SummerSlam is very much more than likely going to happen, which wouldn't be a bad match to see. Cena versus Logan Paul. But we're talking about Bad Bunny. Now, Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul would actually be very entertaining. I mean, you talk about a multimedia artist and a guy who used to make vines and then, also loves wrestling. I could see Bad Bunny, and now he's in the video game. He's in 2K. So I think we can see a long future for Bad Bunny in WWE. Long future. As you hear me echo 3 times. So let's talk about the Usos. And so in the Matt Riddle, Usos, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn fight, we saw that, and they've been teasing this. And Clutch, I don't know if you watched last week's show, but I said it was not going to be Cody, the one that takes Roman's belts. I told Alfred that it's going to be Jay that takes his belts from
him. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's not. I mean, the Bloodline story is it's slow. It's a slow burn always.
Yeah.
So some people get mad at it, but I'm okay with it. I like long-term story building. Then you got Solo. He grabs Jay. They look funny. The real turning point is going to be really interesting when it happens on SmackDown when Roman comes back. You're going to see, do they turn? Does Jay blame Roman? Does Roman blame Jay? So it's going to be interesting. I'm not sure which way they're going to go, whether it's Jay or Cody, but either or, I think Jay deserves it. I think Cody deserves it.
Yeah. No. So overall, Alfred, we see that there's cracks in the bloodline. And you know, the overall show, you know, the theme of this show tonight was, are there problems within the bloodline? And we can kind of tell that there are.
It was evident. It was evident during the match on at Backlash when Solo was almost about to Samoan Spike. He was almost about to Samoan Spike Jay, but he stopped the attack obviously, and then and then the Usos, luckily none of them took the pin in the match. Riddle did, but we're starting to see like slow cracks of like the bloodline disbanding.
So what would you say would be the ultimate way for them to break up the bloodline? Like, you're Triple H, you're in the creative room. What are you saying? Okay, am I going to split them up? Am I not going to split them up? Like, what creative storyline are you thinking about if you're Triple H right
now? That's a good question. Probably I would keep Solo and Reigns together and have a situation where Roman basically orders Solo to like, I guess want to say, screw the Usos in a match, like a rematch with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I can see that happen where it's like Solo is coming out and it appears that he's going to help the Usos win the championship. And then next thing you know, he attacks both of them. And that's per Roman Reigns orders. I don't know. I can see that as a good way to break up the bloodline. That's if I was booking it. If I was booking, that would be like a pretty good way, because I think Solo is probably like the common denominator now in the group. Because I would say it's interesting to see what direction they would go with him, because I think he has a very good potential to be a very good have a good singles run. Compared to any of the Usos, obviously. But that's how I would book the breakup of the bloodline. Just have Roman be like, "Hey, I'm tired of you two losing and things like that, and I'm just gonna order Solo to just come in and just definitely cost y'all the match, and bam, the bloodline is over." That's what I would do.
All right, Clutch, same question to you. You're Triple H. What is going through the creative mind with this story?
As far as the bloodline goes, I think, like I said before, I think it starts on Friday. I think if it was me, I would do the turn on Friday, because they've been teasing it a lot. I mean, it went to the point where Solo was grabbing Jay's neck. So I think they should do it on Friday. I think, and obviously you have a pre-made match there because there's two of Roman and Solo and two of the Usos. But it's going to be interesting because they already said that Roman is going to be defending his championship at Night of Champions, we don't know against who. So how does that get in the way of whatever the Bloodline is doing? And yeah, like I said, who is it going to be? So they might even prolong.
I have a feeling I know who it is. I think it's going to be AJ Styles. I think the rumor right now is AJ, but it was going to be Shinsuke. But I think since Shinsuke got drafted to Raw, I think now it's going to be AJ.
Or Bobby.
Yeah.
Probably more so AJ, because you mentioned earlier that Bobby seems to be doing something with Theory.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting, especially, and they might prolong it a little bit to where Roman needs the Usos because AJ has the OC.
Right.
So they might go that way and prolong the story just a little bit more.
Okay. So what's interesting is we're talking about Night of Champions and the fact, and I talked about this with Ryan the other day, is how are they going to handle the Sami Zayn situation? Because he's not allowed in Saudi Arabia. And supposedly Night of Champions, every title is supposed to be defended. So for both of you guys, how does WWE handle this issue? And one scenario that Ryan came up with is splitting the belts. Which I don't know why they haven't done it by now. They need to. But I don't know. Clutch, I'll start with you. How would you handle this? Or what do you think is going to happen since Sami Zayn can't go to Saudi Arabia?
I mean, Night of Champions is in 3 weeks, so I think right now splitting the belts is kind of out of the question because there's been no momentum towards it. I don't know. I think they have 2 options. They either basically lie and just don't have them defend at Night of Champions, maybe do a tag team number 1 contenders match instead or something like that. Or I've seen the theory that they could do this. Maybe have Imperium beat them for the titles with some trickery by Gunther. And then they can win them back or at least challenge for them after Saudi Arabia.
Interesting. Very interesting. Alfred, what are your thoughts?
I'm kind of on that fence, but I've read somewhere where that Saudi Arabia might end their ban on Sami Zayn for Night of Champions.
Okay.
So it's a possibility that he actually can be in Saudi Arabia for the match. But if that were not to happen, probably what they'll probably do is because it's a few weeks leading up to Night of Champions. I can see them dropping the titles, but like I said, it'll be like a short reign. So it might not do too much good. But hopefully he's able to they're able to lift the ban and have them wrestle at Saudi Arabia, because that's a pretty big deal, and it's an interesting situation because it's obvious that Saudi Arabian fans, they love Sami Zayn. So despite all the politics and everything, and the reason why he can't come to Saudi Arabia, not sure if you all saw the press conference, but Saudi Arabia fans was going crazy chanting Sami Zayn. So they definitely want to see Sami Zayn and everything. So and same for Kevin Owens as well. Kevin Owens over the years he refused to travel to the Saudi Arabia for that same instance because Sami Zayn wasn't able to come, things like that. So like I said, hopefully the ban is lifted because I want to see them in the match at Night of Champions.
Yeah.
But that's what I've read. It's a possibility that they might lift the ban.
Okay. Yeah. What are y'all's thoughts on the reports that they may not be going back to Puerto Rico? I don't know if y'all read that somewhere, but I saw a tweet saying WWE has no plans of going back to Puerto Rico anytime soon. I think that's a load of horse shit, in my opinion, because you had an amazing Friday Night SmackDown there. You had an amazing pay-per-view there. You saw the crowd was hyped. Why not go back? And I was saying this. Right. They need to do more pay-per-views in places like out of the country or like Latin America and South America. I think it would be a major pop. But Alfred, sorry, interrupted. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I think it's a little bit harsh. not knowing what the reason why they're saying that. Especially considering Backlash is one of their most this past Backlash is one of their most successful backlashes ever.
Yeah.
So why not build on that? I don't I don't see why it should be like just a one time thing when the crowd was on fire. So if it
Yeah.
was on fire for this event, you can kind of expect they'll be on fire for multiple events because it's like it's not often they go to Saudi Arabia anyway. I'm sorry, not
Right.
Saudi Arabia. It's not often they
Puerto
go to
Rico.
Puerto Rico anyway.
Yeah.
So why not just build on what you just had, like the success you just had, and it doesn't have to be an every time thing, but at least probably like once a year, like or something like that, or heck, even every other year wouldn't be a bad idea. I'm
Yeah.
not sure why would they just have plans of not ever returning back anytime soon.
Yeah. Clutch, if you were where do you think would be a very cool place to host like a pay-per-view and all that stuff?
I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the videos on Twitter, but Paris seems to be bumping for
Paris.
WWE.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I heard stuff like they were singing Seth's music for like 12 minutes straight without stopping.
Okay.
There were videos of them on the subway after the show, still singing Seth's music. They were chanting for it's crazy stuff because they were chanting for Baron Corbin. Yeah, I think Paris is probably the way to go right now. Like, I know they talked about possibly Australia, which is interesting.
Okay.
Australia, Paris, maybe somewhere in South America. You know how Puerto Rico did its thing, so maybe it's a Latino thing.
Right.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I mean, like I could see that. I could definitely see that happening, and that was one of the most hyped crowds I've ever seen. If they don't go up to Puerto Rico, they're just pendejos. No, Ryan Taylor's right. The crowd there was absolutely outstanding and everything. All right, so the last thing I want to ask you, and Alfred, you and I kind of touched about this last week, is so now that the rosters are all set between Raw and SmackDown, Clutch, I'll start with you first. Are there any rivalries that you want to see develop from both brands?
I want to see what the LWO does next.
Okay.
They took a lot of losses in the Judgment Day feud, even though technically they came out on top because Bad Bunny's one of them.
Right.
I like to see what they have. Maybe I don't even have a name, but just have them feud with somebody and hopefully win the feud.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of Raw, I like the potential. Like I mentioned earlier, that they teased Ciampa coming back. Maybe DIY they can feud with somebody like Imperium or Sammy and KO, even though they're both faces, but I think they can make it work. Stuff like that, and just the feuds like the NXT guys could come up with the new fresh. I want to see what Grayson Waller, who he could face when it's time. Stuff like that, yeah.
Alfred, I know we touched on it last week, but you got any more rivalries you want to see?
I could touch on the one, like two of them I said on each show from last week. I want to see Bianca and Charlotte. I'm pretty sure I don't think they never had a feud as far as I'm concerned. It's like God, because like we said last week, the SmackDown women's division is straight loaded on the roster, so I wouldn't mind seeing that one. And also I wouldn't mind seeing a tag team, an underrated feud I wouldn't mind seeing is Hit Row and Street Profits. I think that could be a pretty good one. I know a lot of people not high on Hit Row at the moment, but I still like them. So that would be a feud I wouldn't mind seeing on the SmackDown end, and then also Raw. Um, Probably the best one that I can come up with. Rhea. I wouldn't mind seeing Rhea and Shayna as like a feud in the women's division, and then also for the men's division, um, well, I mean Cody and Seth already feud, but that's probably a good one. Probably the I want to say ooh, that's a good one. That's good. I forgot what I said last week, honestly.
Yeah.
But
that's all good. It's all good.
Like I guess Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, if they keep the titles, will probably need a new challenger.
Yeah.
So probably like the Miz and getting like somebody that's
well,
right
now they're teasing a Miz Shinsuke rivalry.
I see
that's been in the works right now. I think for Rhea, it's Natalya who's going to be up next for her. They started on this past Monday night on Raw. They started showing some new possible feuds that are going to come up, and I'm very excited. Like Clutch was saying, is how they incorporate these NXT guys into the roster. Because what I hope doesn't happen is that they draft these guys, and this is gonna be the last thing we're talking about because I want to let I kind of want to watch the end of this Miami Heat game as well. I think it's going to be interesting where I don't hope they ruin their careers. The Miz is what you get when you order MJ off, which I hope they don't like have it where like Apollo Crews was in WWE, then had to go back down. Like Finn Balor had to go back down. Like it builds them up, but it also kind of hurts them a little bit. I mean, Clutch, what are your thoughts on that with the NXT guys?
I think they had a plan, even though there's a lot of NXT calls with the main ones. I think they have a plan for them. Maybe not all of them pan out, but if 2 or 3 work out, then it was a successful idea,
Yeah.
I do realize what you said about how they did Apollo, Finn, and sending them down, but I like the character of some of these guys. Like, for example, Grayson Waller. I don't think he's the type of guy that's just gonna fall off a cliff,
right?
Because even if he doesn't work out like the first time, I think he'll find something to do because he's charismatic, he's energetic, he knows what he's doing. I'm not too worried about the NXT people. I'm really interested to see how well they would book somebody like Indy Hartwell, for example, who was really good in NXT, finally became champion, and then goes back to not being a champion. See how they book her. I'm really interested with the NXT guys, but I'm not too worried.
Yeah, no, I agree. So we kind of kept this show under an hour today. I think we have another pay-per-view in 2 weeks or something like that to talk about at Night of Champions. So, Clutch, go ahead, plug yourself.
You can follow me on Miami Clutch PE on Twitter. You can find me talking about basketball or any stuff like this. And you can catch me on Fast Break, the show right before this one.
Perfect. Alfred?
All right. You can find me on @Matthew713 on Twitter. You definitely want to follow me on Tuesday because I'm gonna be reacting to
draft lottery,
doing the draft lottery. So if the Rockets get the 5th or 6th pick, you real want to be seeing my reaction on Twitter, and definitely do not definitely want to miss that. So definitely follow me on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys, obviously, you can follow me at AlexBB29, but more importantly, you can follow our podcast page, which is capital N, capital H, capital B to that Bard Podcast, so capital NH Bard Podcast. And of course, as always, like, subscribe, FinTalk Sports Network. As you heard Clutch say, he's got a show on with our producer Alex right before this one, talking all NBA. We got Dolphins talk, we've got wrestling talk. I know Bobby's talking about getting some baseball possibly talk. We got a whole bunch of shows that are great content for everyone to hear. And with that, I'm going to say 2 things before we go. Number 1, go Heat. I hope you guys win. But it's not looking so hot right now. And the next thing I want to say is I hope everyone has a wonderful week. We will see you guys next week with some more great wrestling talk. Alfred, you got something to say?
No, I was saying yes, sir.
Ready, baby? Paces!